Today I'm going to try to draw this plant, which I think is called a tree of heaven, highly invasive apparently, in Tbilisi, Georgia. And I've been enjoying throwing these kinds of references in every now and then. They couldn't be more different from my usual subject or scene. But I think the more that I draw plants, especially close up, well, the better I'll get, I guess. I've been having a lot of fun with it, even when they don't turn out. So I'd like to keep introducing them intermittently. I know they might not be as interesting to watch, but maybe they're beautiful enough for that not to really matter. Anyway, I think I'm onto something with this one, so let's talk about it. But first, if you're new to this channel, I'm on a mission to learn how to draw while I travel the world, and it's working out so far. I'm by no means a professional, so don't expect to be blown away by the final result, but I am improving over time, and that's the name of the game. So if you're interested in that, or travel, or hearing me talk about it, consider sticking around and subscribing to the channel. That would be swell. Okay, so I chose this reference after a long day of not finding anything else. My wife and I, along with our good friend who's here in town to visit, took the cable car up to Turtle Lake in Tbilisi. There's not really a lot going on up there, but it made for a relaxing respite from the city. And also they had ping pong tables with rentable balls and paddles, which is more than enough to convince me. I'm not any good. In fact, I'm awful, but I love to play, even though I can't remember winning a single game in my entire life. So that was nice. Anyway, there's a pretty lake up there, some cafes and restaurants, and that's what's up there. So I brought my drawing supplies along just in case. Really didn't find anything worth drawing, which is a silly mindset to begin with, I know, but what can I do about it? And almost gave up altogether. Luckily, on our way back to the cable car, there was this overgrown area with all of these plants, tree of heaven, according to the internet, and they popped out at me as I walked along the trail. So I took a second to look and decided I could give it a shot. While I recorded the reference video, I knew I'd need to practice. There was a significant chance I'd end up with a mess of poorly drawn details and random stems. So I got in close, practically gazed into the center of this thing for like a minute straight, and then grabbed my pocket sketchbook to see what I could make of it. I started small, focusing on individual leaves, trying to figure out the best way to quickly draw them since there are many. Next, I tried drawing both sides of the stem with 2 leaves. I found a quick way and a not so quick way, and I decided to split the difference. There was this clear line between precisely drawing each leaf and loosely sketching them, and I think I found it in the end. Approaching this too casually would have made this look just way too messy and ultimately lose that highly detailed look, while being too rigid and perfect would have taken me forever and possibly detracted from other things like the essence of the subject, along with the overall composition, which I probably would lose track of in my myopic hyperfixation. After that, I decided to attempt a few layers where I would draw one stem of leaves, although since it was practice, I'd only draw 2 or 3 pairs for time's sake. And then try to imply another stem of leaves underneath that. This was probably the most difficult part for me, as it kept feeling like I was adding onto the existing stem rather than drawing below it. In my recent plant video from a week or 2 ago, I brought up the issue of creating this depth and how the part of the plant underneath should have been darker, not lighter, because what lies inside would receive less light and so on. I thought about that here, but ultimately opted for the opposite, as I did in that previous drawing, because I wanted to maintain as much sharp detail in that top layer of leaves as possible. Anyway, by the end of this little exercise, the reference video reached about 10 minutes, and I'd finished almost a complete drawing. On the one hand, I'm happy I did, because it gave me insight I wouldn't have had otherwise. But on the other, I kind of hate doing this because there's some magic in that first drawing, and every step of the second, I'm caught up in comparison. Fortunately for me, the second was considerably better, and it was apparently that first hand that made the stronger point. Having experienced the drawing the whole way through, I knew what to avoid, how to approach certain areas, and maybe most importantly, I knew when to stop. The only thing I didn't get from the practice sketch was the different orientations of the leaves. I happened to be standing directly over top the plant, kind of like you're seeing in the reference, but when I began the real drawing, I sat down and realized the shapes of the leaves were quite different. The composition was similar, the technique and all of that stayed the same, but now I had a few stems, pointing straight toward me instead of at my waist. So that was the one thing I had to figure out on the fly. Although it all kind of falls into the same observational practice where I just look for a few extra seconds and try to work out the simplest shapes that I'm seeing. Even still, I don't think it even looks much different from the reference, probably because that was so ingrained from the extended practice, I guess I'll say. Cool. So yeah, this was honestly a blast for me. I had a great time with this all the way through. And while I think I would love to sit with this for another 20 minutes to really render it out, get all of those details popping out, I also don't want to do that at all. I like how minimal it is. I like how detailed it looks, how delicate it is. I like it, period. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments. And as always, I appreciate you for taking the time to watch this one, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks.